now. All right, folks, we are here. It is episode 12, season 3 of Radio Reflex. Of course, as always, it's me, Ian, right time Kinderdine, and my co-host, Alan, Blind Dead Hale. How are you doing, Alan?
Clinging to sanity as I managed to screw up my laptop keyboard at work and then spend all the time that I should have been doing more work trying to figure out how to disable the keyboard and get a new one attached. So doing the podcast tonight is a blessed release from one of those days. Yeah, it is.
A Dorinthia reprise, right?
Yeah, basically. It's putting all that. It's what puts a card back? What's my favorite? It's route. It has definitely routed my work problems now.
Right, fair enough.
So it's good, but it's been a good week back at work. I just wish these damn public holidays. I need 5 days in the office, Ian. 4 days in the office just isn't good enough.
Well, especially 4 days back to back. I mean, that is kind of the problem with public holidays here in New Zealand, is that we tend to get them in clumps. So we get like 2 short weeks in a row, and then we don't get anything until April and stuff like that. And I'm down with you because, again, as a person who works for himself and has to rely on people's business, having 2 short weeks kind of hits me financially as well. So I need 5 days as well.
Yeah, but plenty to look forward to. Plenty to look forward to coming up anyway. I don't think we have much business because I mean we haven't been doing a lot in the last couple. Well, I haven't been doing a lot in a couple of weeks. You've had some things on the boil.
I have, of course. The calling 2 weeks ago now. It was a sort of a big finish line moment for a lot of what we were working towards. So there is a little bit of fab hangover from that. But there are a couple of things I do want to talk about in good housekeeping, though. One thing that I didn't actually mention to you that I know that you know happened, and it is somewhat relevant to us. Jacob Pearson. You heard of that guy?
Nah.
Yeah.
Nah.
Oh, sorry. Peter Jacobson. Have you heard of that guy?
Oh yeah, Peter Jacobson is a legend in this industry. He's a legend in this game. Yeah, Peter Jacobson. Yeah, definitely.
A couple of things. A couple of firsts for him. He has with his win at the calling actually overtaken his housemate and former number 1 ELO player Matt Rogers, and he is now the number 1 player in the world. Which I want to give him a round of applause for that. I know Matt and Jacob are both very, very competitive in that, and I'm sure there's a lot of bragging rights happening in the house. But the other thing I want to talk to you about is another first that Jacob has beaten us to. And that is getting a sweet, sweet fab-related tattoo. Ooh, there goes my championship belt.
Oh, he has beaten us. He has beaten Radio Reflex to it.
Yeah, so it's quite interesting because we had a chat with him a while ago, probably 6 months ago, and he was talking about possibly getting a Bravo tattoo. But after his win on the weekend, he got a Kadachi on his shoulder, and it looks very cool. And if you want to see,
not just our Kadachi, Kadachis.
Right, of course. If you want to see, that, you should check out 7 Days of Flesh and Blood with Chris Bewley, who got the exclusive interview while at the tattoo shop. Congrats again to Jacob, and also kudos for being the first fab tattoo that we know of. I mean, there may be others in the world that have already beaten us to it, but that was one of it still our bet for this season, is that the loser will be getting a fab related tattoo. Unfortunately, it won't be the first fab related tattoo now.
No, it won't be. But then again, you never know. I would assume that if somebody got a fab tattoo, they would be already have showed it off online. But you never know if
Yeah,
somebody has got one secret. What was
yeah,
very cool is when Jacob first told me about it, I thought the tattoo was going to be much smaller. So it is a big tattoo.
yeah, yeah. Well, that was a
Although,
big win.
yeah, it's true. Although, of course, he could have got one Kadachi and one needle, because obviously that would have been a combination to get done. But I believe he's still got some other fab body art on the way eventually. So maybe we could beat him to his second tattoo with any luck.
What's this we?
Well, one of us. Well, I suppose that's the other thing. Going into good housekeeping, and just
Yeah.
the first thing we're going to discuss is, of course, skirmish coming up. So I have been, if you've been following the cast, you know that I've had some ill health. I've had a lot of work, and I just haven't been going to armory events. So our score, of which I am behind, has been pretty static for a little while. But
It's currently at 1712.
Well, it's not as bad as I thought. Actually, I thought it was much worse from memory. But yeah, it's not that bad. But skirmish is coming up, and I'm not currently. Well, I don't think I'm judging any of the events, and I want to play. At the moment, I have booked down to Wellington.
Yes.
Because Wellington's running a double weekend, if I'm right. It's March 6th and 7th. That's Cerberus Games and Sushi Night. So I love doubles. Obviously, Road to Nationals last year, we had the big double event between Cerberus and Calico Keep, which was absolutely fantastic. So I'm looking forward to going down again. The only thing is just, if you are intending to go to the Wellington events, you may want to check out with both Cerberus and Sushi Games, because I think obviously there's people keen on traveling, and just compared to like the very first events that people traveled for, there's just a much bigger base of players now throughout New Zealand. So you may want to check. I personally, I do want to play. Although I think my policy is basically I don't want to take a spot away from a local player. So yeah, I'm hoping to get a spot. If not, I'll just go down there and help with the judge team, or even maybe just do some coverage. But yeah, again, I'm hoping to play the whole weekend. But yeah, we'll see. I'm also going to be heading to the Whangarei, Shadow Realm TCG. Is doing. They've got their kind of like their first big event that we've given them. They are actually a great community up there. Obviously, most people probably have met Lynette through her cosplaying and coming down for events. But yeah, they have, and I think really they have one of the oldest and strongest fab communities in all of New Zealand. They were pulling in like decent numbers to their armory events when we were the first, you and me turning up and 4 other people going to an armory. Shadow Realm, run by Ethan Kennedy, has like a real history. So yeah, I'm looking really forward to actually going to them to play some games.
Yeah, so with that being said, I have also booked in for Wellington. Unfortunately, I can't do both days because of the car fare that I work out on a Sunday. So I will only be going down to Cerberus's event and then Saturday morning, flying out Saturday night. So hopefully, that will be a good day, and that is Welcome to Wraith Sealed, I believe, which I'm looking forward to, because it means me and my boy Reiner behind me there can swing that club and intimidate some folks, which is always fun.
To be honest, I think I'll be looking to build me mate Bravo, because Bravo never treats you badly. And Sealed, he may not treat you to the high end, but he's always reliable.
And of course, I will also try and get to Whangarei. It is a little awkward for me because it is on a Sunday. Luckily, it's starting at 1, so I'm going to try and cut out a little early from my job on Sunday and drive straight up, and hopefully I can make it there in time for round 1. And I believe that is Blitz format, or is that Sealed? I can't. I believe it's Blitz,
but just head to fabtcg.com and look up on the event locator. You can just filter to skirmish and all the events will be there. Yeah.
What a super handy resource.
Yeah, exactly.
So that is of course those two, and of course I will be. I have already signed up for the 27th at Hobby Master here in Auckland, which again is welcome to Wraith Sealed. So I'm not sure if you're going to be able to make it along to that. But what we have decided is because Monarch was pushed back from what it was originally. Originally it was going to come out in March, and now it's obviously coming out in April. So that sort of extended the season a little bit longer than we wanted to do. So what we have decided is that the end of the skirmish events will be the end of Season 3 Radio Reflex for the belt. Oof, upside down even. For the belt.
Now, a funny thing is the skirmish season ends on the 11th of April. Now, I believe the very last event in New Zealand for skirmish is, in fact, in Auckland at Shuffle and Cut on the 11th of April. Maybe I'll go check that.
Which is ironically 2 shops away from the tattoo artist who has already done the first ever Fab tattoo.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to bring. I didn't actually realize that was the studio who did it.
Yeah, that was the studio that did it.
I believe it's called, was it Till Death or Till Death?
Yes, I believe so.
So maybe we can go. Maybe we can organize it. Go straight from the event, straight into a tattoo parlor. I mean, I've got a chance. Only 5.
Once you go 03, it's 03 tattoo.
yeah, maybe I wouldn't go that far, but it's gonna be cool. Well, either way, we need to televise it.
And is Shuffle and Cut sealed or Blitz?
Shuffle and Cut, sorry, I'm actually just bringing it up. Trying to bring it up the last page right now.
I believe it's
Blitz.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just actually talking to, because Auckland gets 1 sealed with
Hobby Master.
Yeah, and 1 with 1 constructed. So it'll be the Blitz. But there are additional ones obviously going up and down the country. We have Valkyrie Games in Palmy. We have, I'm forgetting the Nelson store. It is, God, why can I not remember the Nexus Games?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm just, I believe it's Nexus Games. Down there, of course, there is a bit of a double weekend in Dunedin as well. I don't think I'll get down to Dunedin, to be honest with you. I would like to, but maybe, I don't know, maybe if I sell some cards, I might get the funds to head down there.
I was about to say, there was a thing with the Dunedin one where I think they accidentally put in the wrong 12 o'clock, and I got all excited that there was like a Friday midnight Blitz event that I could make it down to, which would have been awesome. But I'm going to put it out there, Alan. I am 5 wins ahead. There's not a lot left. I have got to play a bit more than you have. So what I'm gonna say is to give you a shot of redemption, a shot to catch up. I'm going to say every Blitz event every skirmish event you play in, whether or not I am also playing in the event, counts. So so you have at least one where I'm not going to be there, and if you manage to make it down to like Dunedin or something, you may also be able to catch up. So I'm giving you an opportunity to catch up, and I feel, I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm feeling a little bulletproof after what happened yesterday. Which we will talk about later in the show. But there you go, Alan. I am throwing it out there.
I'm going to take it. I'm definitely going to take it. Right. Yeah, let's hope my luck improves. Looking forward to the seal.
If you want to help Alan out with like deck choices or anything, hit him up. Alan does tend to like to play what he likes to play as opposed to necessarily playing the best deck in formats. But I would just suggest maybe not bringing Cav Dane to the Blitz event. especially
Well,
not with
what
especially with not the new end of turn rulings.
no,
Which,
definitely not. Definitely not. But what I think, probably the next part of this is what we think, the meta is going to be going into the skirmish season. I think I'm going to pick up Kasai again, just because like I really enjoyed Kasai. My losses, my wins. I really enjoyed Kasai, but also because Rommel. Rommel, sorry, I'm going to butcher his surname. Rommel Estalia. Rommel, he's a Wellington player, and he was doing really well at the calling with Kasai, and I believe he's published his list. He published his list on the fan page
on the fan
with a
page,
report.
yeah.
Yeah, and like one of the things I believe, from what I heard, is like with the calling, obviously it was additional rounds. It was 11 rounds, whereas an event of that size should be 8 rounds. If the event had finished in at round 8, I believe there's quite a few decks that would have made it in, but obviously weren't Iris. I think maybe the Kasai. That's what somebody told me, that the Kasai would have made it into top 8. So that's really, really interesting. But obviously, there was additional rounds for calling. So so I feel like the Cav team will go back to being the UPF deck that I play. And as long as there's no Runeblade on the table, and then I don't really play it at all, I just die. I think I'll bring back Kasai, and Cavdeen gets consigned to the realm of multiplayer.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's fair enough. I am gonna stick probably with Brute. I am toying around. There are two decks that I have in my mind. One deck that I have been talking about for over a year that I'm finally, I think I'm finally playing the first draft of it later this week, and that's the Dom Rinthia deck. I think it's almost time for her. And then I've also been talking with a few people about my No Arrow Ranger deck, which is a little bit off the wall, a little bit fun, and once I get that a little bit more tested out, we might look at doing a deck profile on that, just because it's super janky. But probably I would imagine, as I said, I am hooked up for at least the two sealed events. So of course I will probably push to Brute, as I always do. But Brute has been doing pretty well for me. Although, however, there is still, after the call, and I thought there'd be a bit of a hangover and people wouldn't be playing as much Ira and Wizard, but like every armory I've been to since the calling, which has been about 4 or 5, still been Iras. Last night I played Rohan with a Wizard. My last round would have been an Ira match. I think there was 8 of us, and there was like 4 Iras, a Wizard, myself on Brute, 1 Azalea, 1 Dash player, sort of thing. I think that was what the breakdown was. So yeah, I still think at the moment, I don't think a lot of people are innovating. I think we're still going to see a lot of Wizards, a lot of Iras, and I think it's going to be very similar to the calling. Obviously with a few tweaks here and there in the decks themselves, but I think the big 3 of Ira, Wizard, Dorinthia, I think we'll see a lot of during skirmish. I think we might see a bit more Viserai. I think there are probably a few people who, now that the calling's out of the way, might look at going to Viserai, just because it does have a good matchup against Ira, and seeing whether or not they can make it good against Wizards. But yeah, I think it's going to be a bit more of the same of what we had with the calling. So
yeah, well, I think that's interesting, because I'm not sure we'll get the same metas in other parts of the country. The Ira, especially the love of Ira, is feels like sometimes a very awkward meta choice, and and I don't I'm not going to harsh on players that are choosing Ira. Like, you want to go to an event, you want to do the best. If Ira is the best, then I'm not too concerned about doing the best. I mean, I'd love to make a top 8, but unfortunately, I'm just not that competitive minded. I'd rather play something I enjoy, and I dislike having to play the mirror all day as well. But I think for some of the what I'm looking forward to is the events that are outside of Auckland that I just think will have a different meta. But we'll see how much the calling results obviously influence people. I mean, there are very good prizes. I mean, there are. For each event, there's 8 cold foil heroes, and that's nothing to be sniffed at. I mean, there's a scarf.
Now, with that, I'm going to put you on the spot here. I don't know if you can even give this information out, but I'm going to put you on the spot. Those are just the original 8 hero cold foils, right? The 4 from Welcome to Wraith and the 4 from Arcane Rising.
Yeah, that's correct. Because obviously, if you want to get cold foil young heroes at the moment, you need to head down to your armory events. The new month is gone, and a new month has started. And Data Doll, while not a popular choice for a meta, is a sweet-looking cold foil. So yeah, that's what
and also that puts pay anyone who shows up with the Ira going, oh, if I'm the top Ira player, do I get a cold foil Ira? The answer is no. No, you do not.
Yeah. No,
so
not at
possibly,
all.
I mean, because that possibly may sway the meta a little bit, and we might see a little bit more some people playing for those cold foil heroes as opposed to necessarily playing for the win. I mean, because I know there are a few people who want to finish their cold foil sets who missed out on cold foils in the past. So. Maybe we'll see a few more Azaleas. Maybe we'll see a few more Viserais. Hell, maybe we'll see a few more Katsus. Katsu is probably the lowest played ninja character at the calling. I believe there were more Benjis than there were Katsus.
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure if there were any Katsus. I can't remember the metagame breakdown, but it's just, yeah.
That would be more Benjis than there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, maybe that will affect the metagame to an extent, but it should be fun. Yeah, cool. So I think that is that skirmish. Also, of course, if you are in other parts of the world, because we are not just solely a New Zealand podcast, you will have access to skirmish events. So please look at fabtcg.com, whether or not you're in a region that can play them live in stores, or whether you're in a webcam region. There are definitely going to be options for everyone out there, and it's a really cool format. There are some really cool prizes. So yeah, if you get the chance to play, definitely get in and have a look. Alrighty, what else have we got to talk about tonight?
Well, I think I don't have too much to talk about, but we do have for you a significant event that happened yesterday. So I didn't have any part of it, so I'm going to let you regale us on actually probably one of the more significant victories that Radio Reflex has ever had.
So it's interesting. So this is something that we had sort of talked about this on and off for a while, because as everyone knows, we are big fans of alternate formats, and I especially was in the end days of the versus TCG game. One of my go decks was the Insanity deck, which was an Arkham Inmates style deck, which is done in the format that Magic players call Highlander, some other players call Singleton. But the concept being is that you can only have one copy of any card in your deck. So all your cards are different. You can only have one copy of anything in your deck. Obviously, for Flesh and Blood, we didn't go as far as saying you can only have one copy of the named card. We said you could only have one copy of the name in a full cycle. So for instance, come to fight, you could have one blue, one yellow, one red. But you couldn't have multiples of any one of them. But yeah, so probably about a month and a half ago, DM Armada put up a video about Ultimate Pit Fight. So just sort of doing a rundown of Ultimate Pit Fight and the format. And one of the throwaway comments Stephen at DM Armada made was, it's very easy to make your own house rules for it. You can play it in Blitz format. You could, and he sort of threw out the idea you could play it as singleton format, which would be kind of cool. And when I was watching that, I was like, yeah, that would be cool. So I reached out to Stephen, and I was like, hey man, watch your video, love your content. I have had a bit to do with both DM Armada and Red Zone Rogue YouTube channels in getting them into the Flesh and Blood areas. So I stay in contact with those guys a bit, even though I'm no longer with the company. So I was like, hey, I watched your video. I thought that was a really cool idea. Why don't we get, and I said to him, sort of, why don't we get Red Zone Rogue in and maybe find a couple of other people, and let's try an Ultimate Pit Fight with Highlander / Singleton format. Of course, he was very enthusiastic, as is about everything. If you ever watched his videos, he is a very enthusiastic person, which is one of the things I love about him. And he sort of said to me, well, why don't we get, we get Kellen from Red Zone Rogue, but why don't we grab a couple of other content creators as well and make this, make this actually a thing. And so what we came up with was the name for it was the Creator Chaos Championship, the CCC, is what it is. And hopefully this was the first in a number of events going forward. And so we were like, all right, cool. So we got on. So we had DM Armada, we had Stephen from DM Armada, we had Kellen from Red Zone Road, we had Jason from Deck Edge. Deck Edge is a site I hadn't known much about. They mainly do case breaks and stuff like that, but still, Jason's a very cool dude. And also we got Louis in from Kitchen Table TCG. Loving his stuff. He's very prolific with I think he's almost putting out content once a day at this point. He very very interesting. So definitely check out all those guys. I will go back and put a link in the description of this if you want to check out those channels, because all of them do great content.
I was going to say, very much it was including us, it was the cream of the crop of Fab creators. Well, the ones that aren't the Matt Rogers and the Jacob Pearsons. Definitely the cream of the crop of for Fab, basically.
Yeah, and if I hadn't just been tired of just beating Carol every time I played him in a tournament, we may have brought session. I joke, like, I'm not creating any beef between us and Session Blood.
Hey, question is,
guys, and far better at competitive play than I ever will be.
True, but this is not the realm of competitive play.
So
it's a different realm altogether.
No, this is where Jankosaurus. That's myself. This is the alternate formats. This is where I thrive. What some people may not know, I did do a deck tech, and I did say it, but actually me and Alan had a lot to do with the creation of UPF. While they'll never take any notice of what we say for actual creating cards, other than the one time Alan renamed a card, which is his pride and joy. Multiplayer was actually something that we had quite a bit of input in. We helped try it out. We threw in a lot of ideas. So it's kind of like our baby. That's why you've seen in the past Radio Reflex doing Ultimate Pit Fight events, and we will continue to do more so in the future. So I felt like going in. This was mine to lose, really. it was a great thing. We all did bar Jason, I believe. We all did deck techs before the show, so before we went in. So Louis was on Louis from Kitchen Table TCG was on Shiana. Jason from Deck Edge was on Viserai. Stephen from Dear Mamata was playing Cavdeen, your favorite in the format. Kellen from Red Zone Rogue was playing Azalea. Obviously, a long connection with Azalea for Red Zone Rogue through the Arcane Rising previews and stuff like that. So that was very appropriate. And of course, I had to go in playing Brute, and I thought to myself, if it's a 5-person thing, I'm probably going to be on my own, being the only Kiwi in there. So I was like, I'm going to go with KO and just not making any alliance with anyone else, and just hope the dice gods shine on me. It was a lot of fun. Some of the key points, we will also put a link up. It is up on TCG Players. Kitchen Table TCG's YouTube, I believe. He's got the raw footage up there now. I believe Reed Rogue is actually trying to set it up and make it a little bit nicer, and he's going to be posting the whole thing of it later as well. But if you want to go and see it, fair warning, much like a Lord of the Rings movie, it is almost 3 hours long. So it is epic. It is an epic battle with lots of table talk. There was alliances made. There was alliances broken. Jason from Tabletop TCG turning on Louis from Jason from Deck Edge turning on Louis from Kitchen Table TCG, and apparently an alliance that had been in the making for 3 weeks leading up to the event. Lucky TCG.
Oh, was it really? Was it? Yeah.
So,
was it really an alliance? Was it really an alliance, or just a setup?
Yeah, no. It was. It was quite funny. Also, thanks, Lucky Gaming for. Yes, I had my lucky dice holder, Rowdy Piper. If you've played against me here in real life, you would know I always bring out the Rowdy one as my dice holder for the event. He saw me well. Although in saying that, 3-hour match, I believe I only rolled a 5 or 6 on KO 3 times. Once the very first time I rolled for it, and then the other 2 times were in the final turn of the game where I took out Stephen from Dear Mamata after I had waited patiently for him to give me the 4th copper with his Cavdeen effect. Late in the game, I drew my cash-in card, which I played knowing that Cavdeen was on the table, knowing that I would probably at some point get some copper tokens, and managed to get the extra 2 cards, roll the double action turn off the scab skin, and then proceeded to absolutely eviscerate Cavdeen with a 12 drone of brutality, followed up by a 12 pack hunt to finish the game. Very fun. It was a lot of fun. And if you want to watch it, I definitely suggest going if you've got the time. It is a bit epic. It is 3 hours, so maybe if you've got other stuff to do and you just want to put it on the background, there's a lot of fun table talk, a lot of banter as you'd expect from it. And I think what it really proved was that Ultimate Pit Fight's a lot of fun. I think part of the reason it was so long, that there's 3 things. One, we were doing it over webcam, so that just it makes things a little bit slowed down anyway. 2, it was the first game of the UPF for a couple of them, so we were going over the rules and stuff like that. 3, and an inordinate amount of table talk in that match, which was fun. And also, I think, obviously, the Highlander aspect, I think it actually worked really well. I think all the decks actually were pretty good. but it does make them a little bit less effective. So it did slow down the damage output that we were doing. And so I think Highlander did slow it down, but I think it's very much Highlander format at the moment with just 3 sets, still very viable. I would suggest if you want a beer and pretzels night game with your gaming group where you just want to. I was saying to you when I brought you coffee this morning, it reminded me a lot of my old flats poker nights where like 1 or 2 hands a night were serious, but the rest of the night it was more just about joking and having fun and stuff like that as we were playing some cards. And that's very much the feel playing Highlander UPF had. So yeah, I was pretty happy. Undisputed champion, first ever Creator Chaos Champion. So yeah, I was happy with that. We've already said that we're gonna run it back when Monarch drops with an epic idea of running box sealed UPF, where the plan will be we will try and get a box of Monarch, do a box unopening on our channels, let our regulars help us build the deck, and then we will step into the pit again to see who can come out triumphant and that. So it's a lot of fun. But yeah, so that was my 3 hours of my afternoon yesterday. And again, as I said, I just want to thank Tabletop TCG, Deck Edge, DM Armada, and Red Zone Rogue for having me along, letting me be a part of it. And yeah, I hope to do more with those guys. They are a lot of fun to hang out with, and it's one of the things that I love about the Fab community is even though we've survived a pandemic so far, we've survived supply and demand issues, yet everyone's still real positive and really just happy to get in and play some games and just have a good time, which is ultimately what playing card games is all about.
Yeah, well, I think one of the big things is all this format, because obviously people pay attention to their classic constructed and their blitz, is that the whole format of UPF is still kind of unexplored, and it's good that you guys will get together to inspire other people to do it. And I think there's a lot to be said about house rules, and I love Highlander. I'm just hoping, I'm just waiting for Monarch, so we've got more cards to add to the Highlander format. And because obviously I want to play Cavdeen and UPF more and more, I'm looking forward to more generic cards to shove into good old Cavdeen. So I mean, yeah, so just extra, because also if we're playing Highlander with Cavdeen, I need those extra generic cards.
Absolutely. Bronson says that was a fun event to watch. It was cool seeing all the content creators come together in the ones and zeros. Absolutely. One of the other great things, of course, being Ultimate Pit Fight, everything was legal. So on my first turn of the game, I got to play Go Bananas and pull out a sweet red demolition crew, which I sent at Cavdane for 12 dominated. Funnily enough, Louis from Kitchen Table TCG, he had a Go Bananas, but he only had a box of Arcane Rising and he didn't know what to call. He ended up calling Ravenous Rabble, and I think he went through 8 packs before he hit a Ravenous Rabble. I wasn't going to, because he was on my left or my right, I can't remember, so he was able to attack me. I wasn't going to give him the information at the time, but I told him post-playing it, reminded him that he didn't have to stay within class with Go Bananas, because Go Bananas is obviously after deck building, so it is the one way to get non-class cards into your deck. So I gave him the hot tip on if he is going to use Go Bananas again with Arcane Rising, and that is to call Voltic Bolt is the card that you want to call, because especially if you've got people on your left and right who haven't got Nullrune equipment or Arcane Barrier on their equipment, normally it can be a sweet way to get through some extra damage that they just can't block.
Yep. No, that definitely makes some sense. But yeah, there's a lot to be said for choosing your Go Bananas targets and knowing exactly what you need. It is a skill tester.
I even brought up the whole nimbleism, nimble strike thing. I didn't call nimbleism at the time because I didn't have a one cost attack in my hand, but I believe my second or third pack in, I opened and it had 2 nimble strikes in it, and I was like, see, this is what this is what you're trying to get when you're hitting those Go Bananas. And also when you go bananas, also always remember to go as far as the foil spot, because the foil spot might be another copy of your card. So it's good fun. It's good fun, and as I said, we are looking forward to doing some more with them, and hopefully maybe yourself can jump in on an event, we're really happy to work with anyone in the community, creators or anything. So if you've got events that you want us to be a part of, just reach out. We're more than happy to. If our timetable, obviously Alan is a far busier man than I am, so his and especially it's going to get he's going to get busier as the year goes on. But if there is stuff that you want us to be involved in, we are happy to try and be a part of it, or at very least help promote it. So that was very cool.
Definitely, we are here to help. We're here to we're just here for the good of the game, and we're generally pretty happy-go-lucky people. So we're willing to take anybody on Radio Reflex. But yeah, just what you mentioned, Ian, of course, is I've got a second child on the way, roughly beginning of May. So maybe next season, I need to choose a proxy. I should say, I need to choose a champion. I need to choose a champion. I need to choose somebody to rep me for some games, Ian.
Watch Kale put his hand up. I bet he's in the chat right now.
Kale is the first person I would think
I'm waiting for that comment.
Yeah, no, I would hands down choose Kale. But you've got a pretty good record against Kale, so not all is lost.
Not all is lost. I mean, he's got a better record against me, but I have. He does get cocky from time to time, and I have had to put him in his place a couple of times.
Yeah, true, and he's pretty good at blessing a deliverance red for like 0 life. I'm pretty sure that happens more.
I don't even know why he plays those cards anymore.
Yeah, basically. So I'd choose Kale. Actually, who would I choose? Who would you? So Kale would be my number 1 draft pick. If I had
there's a few people that I can think of that are friends of the show that could step in.
Who would you pick, Ian? Who would you pick if you needed to? If you chose a champion, like we're champion on champion, who would you choose?
Oh, that's very good. Like there's a couple of people that are obviously who are big friends of the show. Wenwei is one of the first people that comes to mind. Although he is also a very busy person. Ash Singh is another guy that I always enjoy playing with and testing with. You've got the likes of Regan and Manu, who are always. I mean, Manu is close to my heart. We have very similar deck building philosophies, which may not always come off, but are always fun. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely options out there that we can bring into the community. I mean, the other thing that we could actually look at doing to work around your change in lifestyle is maybe we go for a slightly more defenses and do it like one shots at events that we know we're both going to be at, as opposed to necessarily whole seasons worth. Type things, but that is all in the future, and I'm sure we can work something out. And but for right now, this bad boy is staying where it belongs. Me and Ryan.
Well, I'm getting amped up. I am. It's only a gap of 5. Only 5.
It is only a gap of 5, and you've at least got a whole tournament more than me. So of course sealed. The fates are gonna determine how we doing that as well. So very interesting. Okay, well, I think that's about 45 minutes of fab there. I think that's pretty much all we've got to talk about this week, unless there's anything else you want to share fab-wise. I can't think of anything else to cover.
Nothing at the moment, except to tell our overseas viewers to check where your nearest skirmish, which store is holding your nearest skirmish event, and get onto them about being able to sign up for online play. Obviously, every store will have its own restriction. It'll have its ones, but yeah, just check out the stores, give them a call, give them an email, and again, you can find it all. Just go to the fabtcg.com, look up the event locator, and just filter to skirmish. You can filter. There's obviously other filters, but that's the best way to see every store that's got an event set up.
Yeah, and also if you are overseas and you do get to play in these skirmish events and you want to let us know about how you did, we are always happy to hear about tournament reports and stuff. If you want to reach out, we're happy to share tournament reports. If you want to, whether or not you want to, if we can work a time that we can both be online together, we can do them live. Or if you want to send us a little video recap, we're also happy to share that as well. But yeah, it is going to be a fun. It is going to be a fun season. I'm fingers crossed that I am going to be able to pick up one of those sweet Ira mats. Of course, both me and Alan are big Ira fans from before she was popular. We're kind of like indie hipsters. We loved Ira before she was cool.
Yeah.
Back when she was underground and you could only play her in UPF with and my sliced bananas Ira deck was all the rage.
Hey, we were playing her in Pauper before people caught
exactly.
Her, so, exactly. Although to be fair, Jason Chung was playing Wizard and Pauper before everybody realized it was
he's
cool.
A developer though, so.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see. I suppose we can get a quick Kurt's Corner tonight. I did actually have a. Yeah, it's been a while, but I did actually have something like just a topic that came into my head because I don't know if you've got anything, Ian, but I'll go for it. And again on the wrestling vein.
I just want to before we move in. Right, so can't wait to smash you tomorrow. Calling me out like that. Well, I hate to say it, Kale. I'm not going to be at maybe Friday night, but not tomorrow night. As it is my sister's birthday, so I won't be at Armory tomorrow. But if you're a real man and you really want to put your money where your mouth is, why don't you bring something that isn't Guardian, eh?
Why would you want? Don't change, Kale. Don't change. I like you. I like you just the way you are, Kale.
So what have you got for Kurt's Corner then?
All right. Well, Kurt's Corner. It's just I know you've watched a bit of it, but I've watched a bit of it. But now, if you have a subscription to Neon, which I think if you've got like a Spark or Telecom services, Neon's like the streaming service that you get through there. They now have both seasons of Dark Side of the Ring available to watch, which previously I had to find it online, but now you can watch proper episodes. Now, if you're not familiar with the show, Dark Side of the Ring is absolutely fascinating. Oh, sounds like an excuse to me. Pick a class, then.
All right.
Oh.
All right, then. If you're brave enough, if you want to win a data doll, bring a data doll.
Is Kale crazy enough to do it? All right, well, you throw it out, Ian. You threw the challenge out. Kale on Data Doll. You hit it here first. Kale on Data Doll. I would like to see what Kale brings to the Data Doll. Unless it's like the whole 4-card hand, which doesn't really fly with Data Doll, unfortunately. But doing an Alan. Was it no? What would I do? Play a Razor Reflex on a 2-power, 2-cost attack, or play Data Doll with 4 cards? Yeah, that's totally. totally me. Yeah. But yeah, Dark Side of the Ring. It's basically looking at wrestling, but looking at all the fascinating,
tragic stories, which sadly the wrestling industry has more than its fair share. Like, to be honest, it's amazing that a series like that hasn't happened earlier than this. Like, you just look at you look at the timeline that they cover within that series. It's like decades of tragedy that have happened in the ring. But it is fascinating. I have to admit, like, I do like a good documentary. Like, obviously, as a wrestling fan, you'll enjoy it a bit more. But if you're one of those sort of people who likes like true crime stories, people I've got a lot of friends who like true crime stories and docu-series, and it is a very well put together docu-series. It's not, there's not actually a hell of a lot of wrestling in it. It is the warts and all backstage of stage. The one that pops to my mind. Obviously, they have done the Chris Benoit story about the tragedy that was Chris Benoit and his murder-suicide of his family. They also did the Owen Hart, the tragic death of Owen Hart, who died in the ring when the swing line that he was entering the ring through didn't work, and he fell.
Well, my yeah.
Jake the Snake has lived an unbelievable life. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've met Jake the Snake in real life. Luckily in a slight bit of an upswing after sort of DDP had got to him. He came out for Armageddon out here, and I was lucky enough to be part of the Auckland wrestling promotion that worked with him at Armageddon, and fascinating guy who really has, you just don't understand the life that these guys lived. They were rock stars in the 80s, and and that's when there wasn't social media, not everyone had camera phones, so there's a lot of stuff that happened before technology caught up to them amazing. One of the stories in that series that I watched that I had no idea about, I didn't realize that this is how he passed away, was the Dino Bravo story. And he was actually hit. He was assassinated by the mob, which is like amazing to hear. Like, it was like crazy.
No, it's this. Yeah, I think your analogy to true crime. If you like true crime, I think you can watch this without real knowledge, because some of the stories are fascinating. I think my favorite one is the death of Bruiser Brody. He was a huge star in Japan and the US in the 70s, and he was actually stabbed to death while in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico in a promotion. And one of the great things about this particular episode is it has interviews with Tony Atlas and Dutch Mantell. If you don't know who Dutch Mantell is, it's Zeb Coulter when he was in WWE. But they were both there. They were in the locker room. Tony Atlas actually held Bruiser Brody. Like, they were both in having those two guys that were actually there is an amazing story, and it's an amazingly sad story. Maybe if you're a wrestling fan, you might actually tear up. I mean, Owen Hart's story, Chris Benoit, it's it might be a bit tough if you're a wrestling fan.
I still remember like the day Owen Hart died is one of the, it's kind of like the two deaths that I remember exactly where I was, the three deaths that I remember exactly where I was are all wrestling deaths. I remember exactly where I was the day Owen Hart died. I remember exactly where I was the day that I heard Eddie Guerrero passed away, and also the day that I heard Chris Benoit passed away as well. And obviously at the time with Chris Benoit, and that's one of the crazy things. I'm sure that I haven't seen the Chris Benoit in this series, but I'm sure they cover it. One of the things was that initially it didn't come out initially that it was a murder suicide. and so the WWE did a full tribute show the day after Chris Benoit passed away, before it came out in the news of what actually happened, and that is a bizarre twist that within itself, especially now how they have sort of distanced and effectively erased Chris Benoit from all their records.
Yeah. So yeah, probably it's yeah. The other thing is, if you're not familiar, I don't know. Like I was going to say, if you're not familiar with wrestling, this probably sheds a pretty poor light on wrestling. But I am familiar with wrestling, and yeah, I don't know about you, Ian, but wrestling has been pretty problematic.
Again, as I said, like, I mean, because it comes from the carny roots of kayfabe, where for so many years it was always presented as a real fight, and real bad guys and real good guys, to the point where back in the day, in the like 50s, 60s, 70s, the good guys and bad guys couldn't travel together. They had separate locker rooms at the venues, at like 24/7. They lived the gimmick. They lived the gimmick. But of course, because you didn't have cell phones, you didn't have digital recording devices and stuff like that. It was a lot easier for them to sort of get away with what was happening, or only rumors and stories to be told, no actual evidence of what went on.
Well, I think a good example is in the Bruiser Brody episode, where his wife talks about the fact that she knew Bruiser as like a caring, compassionate father, level-headed businessman. But she would drop him off at the airport when he was heading over to Japan. And as soon as, he was, had walked about 5 meters away from her, suddenly she could see the change in him, that he would be Bruiser Brody. He wouldn't be her husband anymore. He was totally in character. And that's one of the things that, with the court case afterwards, that a lot of people believed, is that, like, at that time, what they thought is, like, Bruiser Brody was in fact his character.
It was wild.
So that's how one of the reasons I believe. Yeah, his murderer got off.
Yeah, lucky TCG here. Ripped China. She was unbelievable. Absolutely, another tragic story of what can happen from being top of the world, biggest name, one of the biggest, most recognizable names in the industry, to falling to the depths that are what ended up post her WWE career. And unfortunately, some of the decisions she made post her career are the reasons that she possibly may not make it into the WWE Hall of Fame, which is an absolute shame, because if anyone deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, it's absolutely China, for what she did for the industry in a time when in a time where the women's division and stuff was bra and panties matches and pillow fights, and then you have China come in and change the dynamic. First female to hold the Intercontinental Championship. There are, like, she got to a point, there were rumors they were actually going to put the title on her, and she got to a point where they actually booked it as far as she got a title match, which ended up being changed into a triple threat, and Hunter ended up going in because they got a little gun shy at the end. But there has been stories that at one point she was considered to hold the WWE Championship, which would have been amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, would have been. She was unique and a trailblazer. But if you've got access to Neon, if you're a wrestling fan,
or even YouTube, to be fair, most of the, at least the first season of Dark Side of the Ring, you can watch on YouTube as well.
Yeah, but check it out. It's well worth a watch. I think with a few episodes you'll get sucked in pretty easily. Although my advice is be wary of anything that Scott Hall says on these episodes, because some of them I just have no idea. Why did they get Scott Hall on here to comment? They just wanted anybody, and they're like, all right, Scott Hall will do. He can say something. So be wary of everything that Scott Hall says on it. Actually, be wary of everything. Wrestlers are liars. Yeah. Be wary of
Well,
everything.
as self-promoters more than anything, they will often they will often believe the narrative that they are trying to sell.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
probably the best way to think of it.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, that has been just under an hour. So thanks for staying with us. 4 people stayed with us through Kurt's Corner. That is, I'm not sure if that's a record, but well done, you.
Yeah.
Well done to all of you who stayed with us. Again, as I said, if you want to check out that UPF event that I played in, the Creator Chaos Championship, go and check out Kitchen Table TCG's YouTube page, not their Facebook page, the YouTube page. It is up there, and hopefully we'll get maybe even slightly better edited together version from Red Zone Rogue in the next couple of days as well. But as always, folks, have fun, play fab, and remember, wash your damn hands.